Mayra Camal, originally from Mozambique, but raised in Cape Town, embarked on a journey that led her to New Zealand. At just 16, she set her sights on the University of Auckland, New Zealand's top institution, to pursue a bachelor's in innovation and entrepreneurship. In New Zealand, students typically have 13 years of schooling, and the 13 year is optional for those with good grades. Mayra's grade 11 education in Mozambique turned out to be equivalent to the 12th year in New Zealand. This meant she had the opportunity to take the national high school exam, and she embraced the challenge. With determination and hard work, she passed the exam and gained direct entry to the university, setting her on a path to success. Her own struggles with the complex process of studying abroad as an international student, compounded by her dual citizenship as a Portuguese national, inspired her to address this issue. Together with her partner, she founded Prime Education, specializing in student placement abroad. During her time in New Zealand, she balanced her studies with part-time jobs and even ventured into the world of online retail. These experiences instilled in her valuable lessons in discipline, financial management, and the pursuit of personal growth. As Prime Education grew, Mayra's dedication led her to reduce her other responsibilities and focus on building the agency. The journey that began in 2019 has seen Prime Education send over 600 students to 39 different countries, earning accolades such as Best Agency in Africa by Cyprus University and a place among the top 7 agents worldwide by European University Business School. Hello, Mayra. Welcome to Talking with Sprout. I'm Shakeel, your host, Head of Marketing and Branding. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you to the whole Sprout team. I'm so honored to be here with you guys today.
Yes, I'm very happy to have you here as well. And I wanted to start off with a little bit about your background and a little bit about the upbringing that you had, because you lived in, in various places. And so I wanted to get your opinion on the experiences of living in these places and how that shaped your perspective.
Definitely. So I think we obviously are living in an extremely global world nowadays, and knowing how to deal with people from different nationalities and cultures, I think is so fundamental, just as a human, but also even more like from a business perspective. And especially in my business world, we fully deal with working with people all around the globe. So living in different places and experiencing different cultures, different struggles, different advantages, it really opened my mind. First of all, like in how to deal with different people. I noticed that a lot of people that live in one place, their mind is kind of programmed into how things work in your country and in your culture. And when you see something that maybe is not as normal in your culture, you kind of find it like, oh, that's crazy or that's weird. So because I always lived in a completely different world. Like Cape Town was completely different than Mozambique at the time. Now I think things are getting better in Mozambique, but it was like first world, and Mozambique was like still developing. Like we didn't even have as many roads. So like going through those transitions and then going to New Zealand, it completely opened my mind to like what the world is. And I feel like that is one of my biggest strengths, like in general, because I have like a really open mindset to everything.
Yeah, it makes sense. I'm also from Mozambique, and so I can associate with you in that way that I think it's getting better. But I think overall there is a lot of work that still needs to be done for, development, for growth, for the change of the mindset. But I do think it's improving, and I think what you're doing there is really good. And I'm happy as a Mozambican that you chose Mozambique, our country, as the place where you wanted to start your business, even though you had all of these opportunities around the world. So that leads me to my second question, which is, out of all of these experiences, which one for you was a pivotal one which one for you really influenced you to be like, okay, this happened in my life, and okay, I take this experience and I'm gonna make this like create a path for myself. What has been a moment that you really, as a highlight?
Yeah, so definitely there's a few things. I feel like I'm very adamant about the fact that it's never like that one thing that brings you to one moment. I think it's a collective amount of things. But I would say the top three things in my life that were really pivotal. First of all, it would be, the way that I was raised. My father has always been in the business world, and he is actually like a successful businessman in our community. And something that was always instilled with me at a very young age was discipline. And I feel like it's really stuck to me, especially now in my adult years. It's having the mentality that discipline is like number one. When you compromise yourself to something, you really have to pull through. And at the end of the day, discipline is freedom, because if you have discipline, then you have the chance to do the things that you love, because you're putting yourself first, whether it's your health, your business, your career, your family, whatever it is that your objective is. If you have discipline towards your objective, you get the freedom to do things the way that you want and to live the way that you want. So I feel like growing up with this mentality, something that my dad would always say to me and my brother, like while we were kids, he would always say, my money is not your money. So you need to, work to have the life that you want. And I really do believe that listening to those words and listening to those demands was really important for me to understand that I'm responsible for my future. And then I really do think that being a teenager in Mozambique was very important for me to understand what I want for my life. At a certain point, I realized that there just wasn't anything in Mozambique that was adding value to my life. I felt like teenagers were kind of living a very unhealthy lifestyle. Like all there was to do was, you just have fun, but not in really like a healthy way. And no one was really talking about like their future with like pride. It was all just about, parties and having fun. And at a certain point, I felt like I wasn't really like getting anything out of the experience. And that's what led to the most important experience of my life, which was going to New Zealand at 16. At some point, being a teenager in Mozambique for me was like exhausting. I didn't feel like I was evolving. And I felt like that feeling of not feeling evolved was like suffocating me. So going to New Zealand, because I was so suffocated of being a teenager in Mozambique, I was so excited to leave. And that eliminated all the anxiety and all the homesickness and all those kind of those scared feelings that you get when you start something new. I know a lot of my clients, a lot of friends and families, that when they go abroad, they're like crying, they're really sad, they're really anxious, they're really scared. But I feel like I was so exhausted of being here that I was just so excited to go, and that just made the whole energy of being there way more exciting. And just, being a young girl in such a developed country, it's like the least corrupted country in the world. They invest a lot in their education. They're really transparent with a lot of the decisions that they make. So being in that environment was life-changing, for sure.
I mean, from what you said about your dad and how that he instilled such good values in you, I think is a testament to people in this sense where I think your upbringing is very important, and the people that you surround yourselves with and the people that mentor you. And, some people are not lucky enough to have parents that are, they got their things together, they're focused, they've got the right values in place. And especially because, for youth that are very interested in business and wanting to be change and helping and contributing, I think living in Mozambique also doesn't help because it is a very it's a place that influences you to do things that could be negative to you. And when you're young, you don't have the maturity to understand that. You know, you're not able to fully grasp the fact that, oh, this is happening to me and it's a problem. And so I think it's great that you were able to have that at such an early age. And so that's what I wanted to ask you, because primary education now is a business, and you are directly associating yourself to people and to their futures. And it's a very sensitive time because it's like finishing high school, going to university. So my question is, how do you address these challenges and opportunities for these students to live abroad? Like, how do you overall encompass them to put them in the right direction, to give them the right support?
Yeah. So honestly, one of the biggest challenges that we have in our, like in the Mozambican community, is that there's only, I don't want to mention any names, but there's really only 2 schools that look into giving their students orientation for their future. And we have a lot of other schools, international and local, both private and public, and they don't give orientation to the students. So one of the biggest challenges right now is that we're kind of trying to turn over is students start talking about the university at least in grade 10. They shouldn't be only focusing on their university life after they finish. But the problem is, nor parents don't have access to this information either, and the schools don't bother to either. So then a lot of students come to prime education only after they finish grade 12, or maybe when they're 3 months to finishing grade 12, which is unrealistic. Because, you know, if you start looking at your future maybe in grade 10, that means that you have time to kind of make a project. So one of the things that we really are working really hard on, you know, addressing to give them the right orientation and the right steps for their future is giving them a proper orientation. We're trying to encourage students to start having these conversations as early as possible. Because if you have these conversations as soon as possible, this also means that you just have the opportunity to find out, like, what courses am I interested in? You know, like, what courses do I want to do? A lot of the systems that the students are studying right now, the subjects that they start choosing in grade 10 are going to determine what courses they're available for them for university. So if they only start looking in grade 12, they, like, instead of having 60 options of courses, maybe they have 15, you know? So, you know, addressing the importance of education to these young people and prioritizing it, which is something I feel like a lot of people do not have in their surroundings and in their community, is that they're just focusing on now. They're focusing on having fun. They're focused on clothes. They're focused on bikes. They're not focused on their education. And this also starts with parents. A lot of parents will rather, you know, spend money on a Mercedes and put their kids at a good school. So I feel like having these conversations is really important. You know, education is the pillar of your life. You know, if you go to a good school and you go to a good university, there are high chances that you will have more opportunities later. And if you don't prioritize that, then it might reflect in your life. This is not to say that everyone that goes to good schools and good unis are guaranteed success. No, but there's doors that are open for you. And if you're smart and you take advantage of the opportunities, then it can be guaranteed success. Because it also, if you're determined and you have access to good tools, then, you know, you're mixing talent with skills, and
it's funny that you mentioned that, because I think it has a lot to do with the skills that you are able to learn, whether they're in an informal setting or a formal setting, whether they're in education in the proper schooling system or whether that's in a party with friends. You always gain a skill. and you're going to end up stacking a range of skills that might be beneficial to you in your professional career, or they may not. Habits, skills, attitude. And so I think, my next question was around, what do you think are good skills or qualitative skills that you think would enhance students living abroad, and not only living abroad, but in general in life? What do you think we need to instill ourselves with, besides discipline, of course, and the things you've mentioned?
Yeah. So definitely for me, one of the top things is being solution oriented. I talk about this a lot, with my employees. I talk about it a lot, even with students that are about to go. I really do think that being solution oriented is, it just adds more peace to your life, and it reduces a lot of stress that you're going to create, which can develop into anxiety or depression or whatever. Because starting off, from student life, if you're solution oriented, when you go to university, you're going to a place where you might not know anyone, or you're out of your comfort zone. And I hear a lot of people, for instance, the number one complaint that I hear about students when they're going abroad is the weather. Oh my gosh, Mozambique, the weather is so nice, it's so cold. If you can't change something, you can't change the fact that, it's raining, that it gets cold, then why are you going to spend time mourning on it? Just be solution oriented. Focus on what you can control. So I can't control that the weather is really bad, in this season. I can't control that it's raining. I can't control that it's, horrible weather. So let me, consume my energy on what will add value to my life, rather than, consuming it on things that I can't change. And I really do think that that mentality will transition throughout all of the different problems you'll face in your life, because problems, you're guaranteed in life to always face problems. There's no such life that doesn't encounter problems. So if you start with that mentality at a young age, when you enter your work life, it becomes automatic. Like, I really do not spend time mourning on the problem. When there's a problem, there's a solution. If there's no solution, then there's no problem. There's nothing you can do. And I really do think that that's the number one thing, because that develops into your emotional intelligence. If you let the things that you can't control consume you, then there's a very high probability that your emotional intelligence is not strong, and that you're going to be, more prone to struggle in your adult life, because everything that comes your way that you can't control, it's a scandal, it's drama, it's a problem. So I really do think that that is one of the most important skills that are necessary, in general, whether you're a student or a professional.
Yeah, it totally makes sense. I've even been one of those people that has complained about the weather. But I did live abroad in a country that was...
Me too.
Yeah. It's all a matter of growing and understanding how to really adapt to the new environment that you're in, because every place has pros and cons. Everything has pros and cons. Nothing is perfect. So I mean, it's very interesting, and I really think that skill is very valuable. Do you think that prime education, besides helping students directly with their university choices and their support, do you think that you actually support them in other areas? Do you make them feel welcome and included within your agency as like a backbone, as if it was a third parent, we could say, helping them in their process to go to university, but also as a human being?
So to be honest, we do definitely feel like a third parent when it comes to, all of these decisions, because the reality is that it's very different to hear things from a parent and to hear it from a 24-year-old that, has been through the experience of studying abroad, has come back and has like a full perspective. And something that I'll give an example. One of the most popular destinations for, students within a middle class is Portugal, because it's very affordable. And also students have the opportunity to pay national fee, right? So then what happens is a lot of students that do not have English and have a tighter budget, they will choose Portugal, right? So a lot of parents will come to us and they'll be like, I really don't want my child to go to Portugal because I want them to study in English. I want them, to be a part of this, world-class mindset, basically. And we have to talk with them and we have to explain, like, listen, the decision is obviously yours and your family's, but you need to look at things, from a pro and cons list, because at the end of the day, although Portugal is a great, comfortable place for people to go, the reality is, in terms of opportunity, it doesn't represent the world. So if you are seeking, a world-class mentality, you are seeking a world-class experience, then these are the conversations we need to have. And we just point it out to them, like, listen, if you study in English, these are advantages. Think of your future and yada, yada, yada. So there's thousands of examples like that where we, first of all, have to have deep conversations with them so that they take their university choices seriously and they're not choosing places, because my friend's going, because I know this place better or whatever. So we're constantly finding ways to push students out of their comfort zone and normalize that, instead of being like, go through the safe route, go through the safe option, everything's going to be fine. We're not superficial, if the parents and the kids are saying this, then let them make the decision. We are very straightforward. So I think that is one of the top ways that we, kind of involve ourselves in their lives. And then I would just say we're always seeking ways to interact with them. We give them merch, prime education merch. They can be received at the airport by our agents. So anywhere that we send a student, we always have an agent. We always have someone that can receive them at the airport, give them a city tour, teach them how to use the public transport, help out with bank account and all of these things that kind of help you settle in. These are things that obviously I had to take care of on my own. So, we just used what we felt like we needed help with in our personal journeys, and we just converted it into prime education. And we try and provide a full package so that the student has less anxiety during the process of going abroad, and he can focus more on the positivity of the big decision that he's making, rather than, oh my God, I still have all of this to take care of. The owner of the accommodation hasn't replied. I'm going crazy and yada, yada, yada. So we just try and reduce that stress and leave it in our hands so that the student can, just feel like his emotions of going abroad for the first time or going somewhere he doesn't know are valid. I feel like we have so many priorities when we're making such important decisions that sometimes that's what makes us overwhelmed, because we don't really have time to settle back and be like, wow, I'm going to do something so big. I'm leaving my family. I'm leaving my comfort zone. We don't really reflect because we're so busy doing 100 things at once. So I feel like our involvement in the students' lives and in their process reduces all of that anxiety and allows them to just settle back and enjoy their last moments with their families,
Yeah, it totally makes sense. I think it's so important to have an agency like yours. And I know for myself, actually my brother, he's going through his own process now of university. And I know that I reached out to you and, you supported us in a moment where maybe we weren't seeing the bigger picture. But that's just to say that I do agree on a personal level of how you guys are working and how you make not only the student but the family also feel like it's fine. Don't worry, and we're here to support and to give you the best options at the best price, given where the student also wants to live and all the conditions that he or she requires. But now, Sprout's focus area is women, children, and organizations. So one of the focus areas being women. I wanted to ask you more something related to women. And nowadays we see a lot of promotion on women empowerment, women advancement. And so I wanted to get your opinion on, as a businesswoman, what advice or what guidance could you give to women who aspire to have their own businesses?
Well, to women that aspire to be, to have their own business, my first advice would definitely be you need to be, emotionally and mentally prepared for the discrimination. Okay, it's gonna happen. I cannot tell you the amount of times that I've been in a room with older men and Tiago and I are the owners of Prime Education, and there's been countless times where I could tell the conversation was being, more directed towards Tiago because I'm a woman, So at first it would really bother me because I felt discredited. I felt like, I wasn't being respected to the same, level. But what I've learned with time is, again, going back to what I was saying earlier about being solution oriented. Like, I'm not going to stress on what I can't control. So I really would give that first advice. Doesn't mean you have to tolerate it. You should always stand your ground. But the reality is we do live, especially in Africa, in a community where there is a lot of, lack of woman empowerment. So congratulations to Sprout for also the initiative. And I really, really do think that, just being prepared. I feel like people don't really tell you, like, be prepared. I feel like people only just tell you, like, this is happening. So, just fight back or whatever. But the reality is a lot of women do not have the tools or the position in life to be able to fight back a situation like that, because it could be a boss, it could be a potential partner or investor or whatever it is. So you do have to contain your emotions. But, be prepared for it, and do not let, that kind of like that energy contaminate your focus or your objectives. Like, stay focused. Don't let, little mosquitoes, give you like malaria. You know what I mean? Like, you have to be in control of the situation and just try and stay focused, which, like, also honestly, it leads me to, just thinking about how important it is to be communicative, to know how to, like, talk properly. So, when you communicate properly, when you have a clear voice, when you have a clear tone, you use body language, like when you invest in how you communicate, it does with time help you stand a ground. I've had many employees, to be honest, most of my employees are women. I only have 3 boys in our team. And I've had, girls with so much potential come, but they speak like this. They're too shy to talk. And, their instinct is to say sorry first. And the problem with that is, even for me, I consider myself a person with a strong opinion, and I feel like I can voice myself. If even for me, with my strong tone and, my position, I still experience, gender discrimination. Imagine someone that has like low self-esteem, in the sense of, like, speaking really low and being really shy to defend yourself, or, just saying, okay, yes, that is something that will definitely, contribute to the lack of respect in these work environments. So I would strongly advise for all women that want to start a business to really invest in their communication, because that is a very powerful, tool nowadays in how you present yourself. If you are well articulated and you know how to respond to people, that really does help the level of respect that they're going to have when they talk with you the next time or the third time. So I really think those 2 things are important. And I would say definitely that one last thing would definitely be for women that want to start in business is, do not let haters add water to your fire. I think it's really important that you allow any negativity to be gas to your fire. So it makes your fire brighter. It doesn't, reduce the fire that stays within you. I feel like I think this happens more towards women than in the men, because there's a lot of women that are more prone to gossiping. There's a lot of women that are more prone to being judgmental. And also, scientifically, women tend to be more emotional. So I think, that is something that's really important, and that's been really important for me, is not allowing outsiders to kind of, interrupt your groove and to outside noise. It's really important to mute the outside noise and focus, because as you open your business and as it goes well, I can guarantee you that with time, there's going to be more attention towards you, and that attention may not always be good. It may not always be good attention. There might be a lot of envy or jealousy or negativity that stems from that success. So I think this is important for both genders, but I do think that because women tend to be more emotional, this can affect them more. It can hurt them more. And I've been there. I've been in the situation where it hurt me more, and I would witness Tiago kind of completely unbothered. But for me, it would be more personal. But I got to a point where I understood I cannot let someone that is outside have a voice inside, my home, my office, my personal space. So those are definitely my top 3 advices for women that want to be in business.
I like how you went from, giving advice on a more personal career perspective and on a more, on a more professional career perspective and on a more personal perspective. As to how it is important to stand your ground and to know what you're worth, and know as well, the hard work that you put. There's always going to be haters. There's always going to be ups and downs. And when there's downs, the important thing is to have resilience, to have grit, and to persevere. And so that message is very important, I think, for men as well. Nowadays I feel there's a lot of women empowerment, women advancement, and a lot of events and a lot of great initiatives, but men are not being capacitated in the right way. They are superior. They are superior in a way which is not necessarily, it's like generational, but it's not necessarily the right way to coexist alongside a woman. And I think men have to relearn how to really cherish and, be in partnership with the woman. At Sprout, I work majority with women. So for me, it's been a big lesson in life to know how to, adapt and to understand and know how to not speak up or over another person when it's their time and their space. So I think it's very interesting, and thank you for sharing that.
I just wanted to add on what you said, which is, I think, really important about what you were saying, that men really have to learn how to coexist. And I think, to be honest, the whole, gender situation has a lot of familiarities with racism. So for instance, if you're a white person and you are living in South Africa and you know that, the apartheid ended maybe 25 years ago, you just need to be more mindful that a black person is more sensitive to anything a white person is going to say, because it's still very recent. The heartbreak of experiencing racism is still very recent. And I think it's very similar for women, especially women in business. If you're a man in business and you're dealing with a woman, whether she's below, equal, or above you, just be mindful that it's very likely that in whichever position this woman is, it's very likely that she has a trauma towards working with a man. So, just being mindful of that, that fear that she might have, or that insecurity that she might have, I think is really important for men to also contribute, in general, to the growth and the development of, equal standards in business in general.
Yeah. I think it's very important to have a cohesive also working environment. It's very important. My last question to you, and I'm sad that we're ending the conversation already, but it's been so nice. But my last question to you is like, what is something that you've read or that you've seen or that someone's told you that stuck with you? That you're like, that's something that I can apply to many areas of my life. That always is something that's come up in my, in my life, and I'm like, oh wow, this connects to this. So what is it? Is it a mantra? Do you have anything your dad ever told you or your mom? Could you share with us?
Honestly, my top thing that I've ever heard is well invested energy results in effortless thriving. I'm super obsessed with this, with this quote, because I feel like it just means that when you are selective, you protect your energy, and by protecting your energy, you just develop high standards for your personal and your professional relationships. And this kind of reflects in all aspects of your life. And I feel like it just really helps you choose where your energy goes to. And I think when you have a business, this is extremely important because you face challenges very frequently, you experience stress very frequently. So if in your career you are constantly, finding solutions, you're constantly mentoring people, managing people, you need a lot of energy for that. You need energy to wake up every day. And this is not just owning a business, but in your career in general, you need energy to wake up and to thrive in whatever you are doing. So if in your personal life, you are not selective at all with your energy, anyone has access to you, you spend your weekends with people that are always giving you sarcastic jokes or rude comments or kind of discouraging you, that can affect your level of productivity because you end up overthinking. Some comments stick with you. And this is your subconscious. You don't always have control over what stays inside you. And we all have a backpack that we carry that's invisible, that we put things inside, and, at some point it fills up. So I really do think that filling that bag up with things that are important and are productive. So spending time with people, that add value to your life, having a loyal support system. I feel like all of these things really do contribute to your success. I feel like it's a fundamental part of your success because there are people that have the wrong people surrounded by them, but they are extremely successful. And you can be extremely successful, but not have strong family relationships, not have good friends, and that can create disturbance in your life. Very frequently, your family can break up, your friends are constantly betraying or lying to you, you have people using you, and that personal problem can make you addicted to your work. And if you're addicted to your work, and you're addicted to, I just want to be successful, that will reflect in your life. But if you have balance and you distribute your energy properly, there's a very high chance that things will just, they'll just be better for you because you consume your energy fairly and you just choose to have balance. You choose to have a time for family, for friends, for work, for travel, for your love life. If you have that mentality that well invested energy results in effortless thriving, there's a high chance that you will thrive in the different aspects that you should be striving in your life. Because money is not the most important. You need to have health. You need to have, physical and mental health. You need to have, you need to feel like you have self-esteem, so self-love as well. You need to feel like you're developing, and it's not possible to strive in one thing and be at your highest level of happiness. So I feel like happiness comes from a variety, it's like a tree and you have different stems, and happiness comes from all these different stems. So my mantra is definitely well invested energy results in effortless thriving, because it protects your energy and it just gives you, gives you more. So you invest more, you choose more for yourself, and all of these things are going to reflect in your life later.
What a great way to end it. There's nothing else that you could have said to end it better, because I think energy is what we are, and energy, we are a source of energy. So, yeah, balance is so important, so important.
Yeah.
And now that we're at an age where it's all about the hustle, it's all about like, are we gonna make it? Are we not? Even though I know people in my life that had to restart at a certain age, much older than me and you, because I know we're roughly the same age. So I think it's so important to have that in mind from the beginning, because if you work too much, you lose track of who you are. And if you don't work hard enough as well, you will still not know your potential and where you could have gone. And so having that right balance and putting your energy in the things that you truly value and that truly are beneficial for to strive better, as you said, is something that I think is quintessential today. So yeah. So thank you for sharing your knowledge and about Prime. I really wish you the best of luck. And you're doing great things with you and your partner. So all the best of luck on you on a personal level, as a friend, and a professional level, as a businesswoman.
Thank you so much. It was so great. I loved having this conversation with you. And I really do hope that you and Sprout, keep pushing the boundaries for women empowerment. It's definitely such an important thing that a lot of people don't have and that they do need. And, as we were talking about earlier, I really do recognize how privileged I was to have, parents that inbuilt good values inside of me and that invested in a really good education for me. I feel like those things were so important for me to, reach whatever I've been able to reach now. And having institutions like Sprout that, target people that didn't have those privileges, I think is so fundamental for, the future generations to start at an equal level. Because the reality is a lot of people in the past 50 years are, especially in Africa, have a huge difference of like where you start in life. And that is obviously going to put you way more steps ahead of someone if they don't have the basics. So congratulations to Sprout. And I'm excited to keep, witnessing whatever you guys have in store. And yeah, count on me always.
Thank you. Yes, we will. And we look forward to seeing what else we could collaborate on. Because as you said, the area that you focus on is one of our focus areas. So let's see what the future brings, and hopefully we can do something great soon.
Yeah, absolutely. See you soon. And we keep in touch.
Keep in touch.